All right, well, welcome back to episode 2 of, I guess this is called Suck or Slap.
Yes, Suck or Slap.
Does it suck or slap? And we reviewed Robin Hood.
Yes.
Or we're about to review. You're about to see it happen.
We're about to review Robin Hood.
You just wait. I promise.
Yep.
You're not Robin of Locksley anymore. You're Robin Hood.
First reaction, we're going to do the little, we're going to go thumbs up or thumbs down.
Okay.
That way, if that's all you want, you can take that and you can be done. If you don't want to hear anything else we have to say, just the rating. Okay, so 3, 2, 1. Come on. Same, twice in a row.
Honestly, it's closer to the bottom this time, though. First time it was
Okay.
closer to the top. This time it's like,
Yeah, I'm not there. I'm not even conflicted.
Yeah.
I'm not even disappointed. I was disappointed by Wreck-It Ralph 2 because I liked the first one. I kind of knew going in this wasn't going to be much. Mostly because it stars Taron Egerton, who is just a blonde, sniveling version of Seth MacFarlane.
Mm-hmm.
That's unseeable. You're never going to unsee that now. Oh, and this movie's extremely political.
yes.
Guess what isn't political? This show. So we're gonna avoid all that stuff.
We're gonna...
Even though the movie doesn't. The movie headlong goes into all kinds of politics.
Yep.
Very much takes a side on any imaginable issue. But we ain't.
Right.
So do you want to start or you want me to start?
I'll start. So, basically this movie is, to me, if you didn't know the story of Robin Hood, you're going to leave this movie not knowing what the story of Robin Hood is.
That's so true.
Because one of our sisters actually didn't really know much about Robin Hood, and I'm pretty sure through this movie, I'll have to talk to her after this, because me and Tim were both avoiding talking in the
we
same
didn't
room
talk to
about
each
it
other. Yeah.
before doing this review. So
This
we
is
can-
the first we've talked
Yeah.
about it. Like,
Yeah.
this is going to be completely organic.
But I'm pretty sure she still probably has no idea.
She has no idea what the story of
Hood
Robin Hood is. Yeah.
Because
yeah.
this was just a movie about a guy who shoots some arrows. Pretty much.
This is a movie about a guy who spends the whole movie not knowing what to do.
Yeah.
So he waits until someone tells him exactly what to do so that he can do it.
Yeah.
When do I get to, steal? It's like, he taught you, just go do it. Why is he waiting? If it was actually about Robin Hood, he would actually just go do the stealing.
Yeah.
But this whole movie, Robin does not do anything. It's not that he's waiting for permission. It's that he literally can't do anything unless someone tells him to.
Exactly. Which is just...
It's infuriating because he's
Yeah.
not a hero. He's not a protagonist. The degree at which he participates is he is a pawn being moved by about 2, maybe 3 characters in the movie. In that he does whatever John says, whatever Marion says, and the opposite of whatever the Sheriff of Nottingham says. Because he won't do something until he learns the Sheriff of Nottingham wants him to do it. Or he won't oppose something. He's just like walking around like, what's all this then? What's going on here?
Yeah.
Like, that's him. So he's really frustrating as a main character.
He really is. Also, he doesn't look like Robin Hood at all.
Yeah,
His costume doesn't look like Robin
Oh,
Hood
yeah.
either.
The costume is mostly black with a little blue bandana.
Yeah.
Like, there's no green on it, which I almost feel like these gritty reboots, they do these weird things, or not reboots, I guess it's a gritty retelling, but they like try to hyper modernize everything while trying to make it look nothing like what it's based off of, which is strange. And we'll get into this later, but I do have some things that I think could be changed to make the movie better. Nowhere near as many as Wreck-It Ralph, because I don't care as much.
Yeah.
Like, this movie sucks, and I'm just like, whatever. Not much is lost. It's a Taron Egerton movie.
To me, this seems like this would have done better, in my opinion, if it was a CW show, because I would have never thought to go and watch it.
It did do better as a CW show. It's called Arrow.
Yep.
It's a much better
Literally.
Robin Hood story.
Or like,
And it's much better.
something like Freeform or something like that. Because there was a lot of
I'm not going to be that
romance,
mean to Robin
drama.
Hood. Is there?
in the
Actually,
movie,
is
that
there?
movie, yes.
Okay, but is there? I know in the script they probably said, this is in here, but I don't think it's actually there. I think the romantic tension is Marion is going to go for whoever is currently alive and doing whatever she's telling them to do.
Oof.
So
You're right.
that's literally what happens. That's how she
Yep.
chooses between Robin and the guy who I don't even remember the name. I guess his name was Will
Yeah.
or something. Yeah. He as a character also doesn't make any sense. He only... up until that point, he's just doing whatever she tells him to, so you understand where he stands. It's like, oh, he's just Robin Hood. Then at some point, he just kind of decides to stop.
Yeah.
But you're not given any reason as to why he would, because it's like, that's his whole character, is, I do whatever mommy tells me to.
Mm-hmm.
But then he quits. Oh, John, Little John. Only he's not called Little John, even though it says that's what he's called on the IMDb page. It wouldn't be funny to call him Little John, because he's not big.
He's not big, so they just call him John. And the joke is a different joke, but it's a joke.
Kind of, yeah. They're calling him John because his name is hard to say.
Yeah.
So they're just like, just go with John or
And
something
there was
like
this
that.
excruciating scene where Robin Hood is trying to pronounce his name that
Oh,
y'all are
that
gonna-
was...
if y'all go see
Okay.
it, you're gonna just have
Okay.
such a good time and not be gritting your teeth. Really.
I'm not gonna lie and exaggerate and say this whole movie is full of cringy humor, because I think some of the jokes land.
Yeah.
I think the
some of
movie
it.
sucks, but some of the jokes land. That one doesn't. Yeah, it's like this. It's this weird
It's really bad.
Paul Feig style. It had to have been improv. Only you can tell Taron Egerton can't improv, and
Right.
Jamie Foxx probably can, just by virtue of experience.
Yep.
Jamie Foxx probably can improv, and Jamie Foxx was absolutely having a good time playing John.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, y'all have seen it in the trailer, the part where he's saying, again! Having him, fire the arrow, and he, stops it, and he does that weird, only action movie character smile, and, he's like, again! It's like, yeah, you're only doing that if you're having a great time being an outlandish character in a weird action movie.
Yep.
So, he's having a good time. You can feel it. However, John is a Mary Sue. He has no character flaws.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason he isn't doing everything for Robin, the only reason Robin has to be
isn't
his
Robin
errand
Hood?
boy,
Yeah.
is because for a really contrived reason, he gets injured and can't do it anymore. And in the scene where the injury happens, he's holding a knife while choking the person out, and you're just like, why is he holding the knife up when he's clearly trying to kill the guy? Why doesn't he just kill him? That whole scene, he's just killing people like crazy because he's a ninja. Jamie Foxx
Literally
just
is a
plays
ninja.
plays John the Ninja. Pulling out 5 arrows at once in midair and firing them all accurately into people's heads.
Yep.
It's insane. But you're like, why doesn't he just stab him? Because he hesitates, he's now critically injured and has to go play the role of, do this, do that, now do this, now do this. And you notice there's no point where Robin's like, I don't want to do that, I don't know how to do that. There's no conflict.
Yeah.
It's just, Robin does it.
Robin does it, and then he is made into Robin Hood in... It takes no time at all, and then he's Robin Hood.
Yeah, their training montage.
I don't feel like that wasn't training. I feel like that
Yeah.
was he was riding a bike for the first time after 4 or 5 years, and it was
Yeah.
just you can ride a bike. And
Oh,
then you're like,
well-
yeah, you're right, I can.
And
Huh.
there was no tricky, cool, a mysterious wisdom that he was getting from the person training him. It wasn't like Yoda training Luke, or I'm going to reference Star Wars in every single review, just by the way. It wasn't like Rocky going through his training and thinking, I need to do this, I'm not doing this, or what do I need to do?
And there was
I think I know what I need to do. And then you see him kind of figure it out, and it's like, well, maybe I can do that. It's not that. It's, Robin, do this. Okay, not good enough. Do it again. Not good enough. Do it again. Okay, now do this. All right, good
There
job.
was
Now do this.
There was no clumsiness about it either.
Robin never learns anything. There's no character growth, because he's a mindless order follower from the beginning of the movie when they're in Arabia to the end of the movie. He's just doing whatever everyone tells him to do. There's no character growth. He
Right.
doesn't have to... He's not faced with a challenge that he can't defeat by simply following instructions.
Right, and
Which is the most powerfully dull thing you can make an action character do.
There's the back thing of, oh, Robin has always been such a great person and he has such a sweet heart.
Oh, such a nice guy.
He's such a nice guy, so of course he's gonna, be this hero that's gonna save all the poor people.
He's just gonna do the right thing.
He's just gonna do the right thing because that's just who he is as a person.
Yeah, and it's really weird because the movie is convinced that if you there's the haves and the have-nots. If you have, you are evil. No matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're Robin Hood. And it doesn't explain why he's different. It doesn't ever, at no point does he come off as guilty for being like the bad people. At no point does he have to grapple with some kind of thing. Like, I'm just going off of the movie's moral compass, because he is no different from any of the villains. And we leave it at that. Like, there's nothing that he has to come to terms with. There's, like, he doesn't sacrifice his wealth or influence to become more like the people he's fighting for.
Even if there was something that he sacrificed, they didn't make it out to be anything of a sacrifice. They didn't make him be, like, down in the dumps for any amount of time about anything. It was just, I don't want to spoil it. He came back, things had happened, and he didn't react at all to it.
Yeah,
that's what I was
Robin
thinking.
Doesn't lose anything fighting for a greater cause.
Right.
Robin is in a place of power and influence. Then he stays in a place of power and influence. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't... they think they're doing this, but it never happens. At no point does him being a lord and Robin Hood at the same time, at no point does anything he do as a lord actually help him succeed as Robin Hood. Because everything he does as Robin Hood is a result of his training and the instructions he follows. Like, he doesn't get any extremely necessary information from being, like, undercover.
You're right. He doesn't get any information. He gets some ends in places, and at the very, very, very end, he gets some information. But even then, it's already too late.
There's really only one reason for him to ever do any of that, and it's to give the Sheriff of Nottingham, who's played by the same guy who was the villain in Rogue One, who is, at the same time, more complex and interesting than he was in Rogue One, but all the more wasted as a result.
Yeah.
Because that guy in Rogue One had... He had... I don't know, he had more fun, I guess. Whereas him playing almost the same character in this one has a lot more to him that goes nowhere. Like, he has these scenes with him where they're like, Robin's kind of playing along, and you're starting to get... you're starting to learn more about the sheriff's backstory and, like, who he is and why he's doing this. And you start to learn that it's like, he kind of hates what Robin Hood also hates. Like, he hates this system. But the Sheriff of Nottingham is doing it out of pure vengeance. Like, just pure hatred and vengeance is what drives him. And he's kind of playing both. He's playing into these guys' hands so he can basically turn against them or just put them underneath him because he was abused by the system for so long. And I'm like, whoa, he's way more interesting as a protagonist.
Yep.
He would actually he would actually have something to gain from changing and from learning or something like that.
And the fact that this was supposed to be more of a gritty retelling of the story, I agree with that. I feel like that sort of backstory would really make me root for someone more than it would make me, like...
Yeah, I mean, that's a classic kind of superhero... I mean, that's Spider-Man. Spider-Man is originally driven purely by vengeance for Uncle Ben's killing. And then as a result, he kind of has to learn that, that's not the thing he should be fighting for. He should be fighting to keep bad things from happening to other people. So, you could just do Robin Hood as Spider-Man, like, essentially make him driven by vengeance initially.
Yeah.
And listen, a bad thing happens to Robin that he didn't care about in this movie. They could have really made him care about it, and that could have driven his desire to change. But unfortunately,
They made it seem
Jamie
like,
Sue is around, just saying, "All right, do this, do this, do this. You win the movie."
they made it seem they made his reason for like I don't want to spoil it. They
Yeah.
made it very. They made
His
reasoning-
motivation
his
is
motivation
vague.
seems it's really petty and vague. That's
It,
what it seems like.
it's vague if you don't assume it's petty. If you're taking it at face value, it's just petty, but you feel like that can't be why. So I'm just gonna assume they didn't
Yeah.
tell me, or they didn't do a good job, and they didn't mean it to come off like this. Even though, I mean, if they had leaned into the petty thing, it kind of worked. He could have worked as kind of an anti-hero where he's just like, I'm taking what's mine back.
Yeah.
And then maybe
That
in the
could've been
process
cool.
he figures out, oh, I guess I'm kind of no different from them. So I'm gonna fight for something greater.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe halfway through the movie he learns, he's like, oh, this is what I should fight for, and that like makes him better at it. So that's kind of like that was the change he needed to be able to defeat the obstacle, the antagonist, whatever. And that actor, for the sheriff, I think he was wasted because I think he's great.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of inconsistency in tone. Like, some parts get like pitch black, disturbing dark, and I was like, whoa.
Yep.
Very, what's the word? Very, very deep, unflinching malevolence exists in this movie. That's like this PG-13,
Mm-hmm.
I'd say malevolence that goes darker than, anything Christopher Nolan tried to do with Batman.
They're allowed to talk about it, but if they showed it, it would be an R-rated movie.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. They talk about some torture that would be that, like, it puts the image in your head and it's like, oh my God, that's horrifying. Like when he's talking to John when he's chained up, when the sheriff is talking about what he's gonna do to him, and I'm just like, oh God.
Yeah.
That's horrifying.
There's some really good imagery used with the writing for the
For how-
villain characters.
Yeah.
No one else is that interesting though.
Mm-hmm. There's, I think, one good one-liner that stuck with me. And of course John gets it, because he's the Mary Sue and the actual main character of this movie. They just had to artificially contrive a handicap for him. John is like if Yoda, in his prime, was facing down the events of The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and he, like, instead of dying of old age halfway through The Empire Strikes Back, the only reason he is in Dagobah, or like the only reason he can't fight, like there's no exile that he's serving, there's nothing like that. It's like, oh, I have a broken arm, or oh man, sorry, I like my Achilles tendon's really been bothering me, so I'm gonna have to instruct Luke exactly how to like defeat the Empire, and if he just follows those instructions, it'll work out fine, man. Don't worry about it. Like,
Yeah.
that's how it would
It's
be.
that simple.
Because John,
You don't need a legend. You just need a legend instructing some rando.
yeah. One little nitpick.
One little.
There's
more.
one that I can't let go unmentioned, because
One
there's a
more.
bunch more that. Okay, no.
Not
I-
one more.
Not one more. Okay, so there's two things in this movie that are incredibly dumb. Outstandingly dumb. Most of the movie, they have a lot of dumb things. But these are kind of like, y'all didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
The part,
Are
Where-
we spoiling?
No.
Okay.
there's a part where a horse-pulled wagon, a horse-drawn carriage, I guess I
Oh.
could say.
That was one of these.
Yeah, full speed crashes through a wall of a building.
Very thick.
Like thick
wood.
wooden wall. The horses in front, they don't even flinch. They just like face first running, just crash through this building. Like destruction everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like
And
the
then-
horses didn't even flinch.
Nope. They sure
They
didn't.
didn't trip, they didn't miss a step, they just ran right through it. And then there's a part where they're trying to I don't even remember what it was. It was near the end, they're trying to get a thing. And the thing they're trying to get to, they have this weird shot where there's a GoPro attached to the bottom of it. And they use the footage from the GoPro, and it looks, there's a lot of chromatic aberration, which Okay, that probably means nothing. Okay, it looks like a cheap digital camera in
That
a
has
period
no
piece that is supposed to look like...
Stabilization.
Yeah, no stabilization, and it has this weird little, like, flicker, like it's clearly a much lower resolution digital camera
Yeah.
amidst no other part in that movie that looks like that. Like, if they were doing a thing where they were like, we're gonna do this really kitschy, kind of out of place, modern film style in this time period, and we're just gonna go for it, which they feel like they really wanted to, but they didn't. They didn't, and then that kind of slipped through, and it was like, oh god, it sticks out so bad. And then this movie commits one of the 7 deadly action film sins. You have your action hero callously murdering loads of nobodies. Like we're talking not even flinching to kill multiple guys wearing masks and, you know, armor, and you don't see their face or anything. Like, brutally, just one after the other, doesn't even care. Spectacular fashion, just killing them all for the cause.
Mm-hmm.
Then he doesn't kill a more major villain, because then he'd be no better than him. And it happens in this movie. It's just like, oh my god. That's like, it's just there to say, we're gonna make a second one, and this guy's gonna come back as a villain. And like that could only be the purpose it serves. And they were just like, well, how are we gonna explain that? Make it to where, or don't make it to where that guy sees he's in over his head and escapes. Which, while kind of a cop-out, still works and would make sense. No, let's do it to where Robin is just about to kill this guy, who is evil and has been like a thorn in his side since he comes back into the movie. And just like they're saying, or no, doesn't he say, like, the bad guy's like, do it, finish me, or something like that, and he's like, no, and it's like, why not, Robin?
Yeah, I don't know, why not?
Yeah, they knock him out instead, and it's like, excuse me, he's like been established as this like vile murder machine who will take Robin down.
Which is
if
why
Robin...
he was brought in again at the end. Because
Right.
he's brutal.
It's like,
and
we have to get the best, most insane, like...
We have to bring in the cavalry, literally.
Yeah, like, we have to bring in our Rambo to kill their Rambo.
Exactly. There.
I mean, he's
Their drone Rambo.
yeah. Yeah, they're Rambo as an automaton who's just following instructions.
Yeah.
Another...
But he's an automaton with a heart.
He's the Tin Man after the Wizard of Oz, except the Tin Man has character growth, and that's why there's symbol... Never mind.
Yeah, no, it's not the Tin Man.
Wizard of Oz is better than 2018 Robin Hood.
Yep.
You should go watch the Wizard of Oz. Or go watch Robin Hood by Disney.
Disney's Robin.
It's a fantastic retelling that is far more accurate to the original story.
And very charming.
Oh, God, it's so charming.
So
And
charming.
Little John isn't a Mary Sue and is actually a character.
Yep.
And Robin Hood is a good hero.
Mm-hmm.
Go watch that one instead. Or, I mean, heck, I don't know. I'd actually recommend going to see Wreck-It Ralph 2 instead of going to see Robin Hood.
Yeah.
I would unflinchingly say that. Because this is probably the blandest, most incompetently realized version of Robin Hood that I've ever seen. I haven't seen all of them because it's, public domain. There's a million Robin Hoods coming out every other year. But anyway, I think it sucks.
Let's say it again. Suck or slap. 1, 2, 3.
All right.
I forgot a lot of stuff, y'all.
Well,
There are things coming to my mind now, like there's a sappy scene where someone gets an arrow in their chest, yet still has the feeling to go and make out with their loved one.
wouldn't recommend it.
It sucks.
It sucks. It's kind of a shame, but it's what you get when you cast Taron Egerton in anything.